imagine a scenario with me for a second. It's Monday morning at let's say a Fortune 500 company. We can call them CorpX.
All right, I'm with you.
Now, on paper, CorpX is doing everything right. They have this massive budget. They've hired data scientists with PhDs. They've sat through 1,000 vendor demos, drank the expensive coffee.
Yeah, they have the shiny pilot projects everyone claps for at the all-hands meeting.
Exactly. They look like they are 100% ready for AI. Everyone's high-fiving.
Yeah.
But then they actually try to scale it.
Yeah.
They try to take that little pilot project and roll it out to the sales team in Omaha or the logistics team in Singapore.
Yeah.
And just silence. Or, even worse, total chaos.
It's what I call the post-pilot hangover, and honestly, it's becoming so painfully common. We see this gap, this huge chasm between the companies that buy AI and the ones that actually use it.
That is exactly what we're digging into today. Why do companies that look so ready on a technical level just fail so hard operationally?
It's a huge question.
So we're doing a deep dive into this idea of organizational readiness. And to guide us, we're unpacking a really comprehensive piece by J.D. Parashar.
Yeah, J.D. Parashar, he's the founder and director of Rethynk AI Innovation and Research, and they published this fantastic article back in February 2026 called The Organizational Readiness Checklist for AI Integration.
And it is, I have to say, a bit of a wake-up call.
Oh, definitely. If you're a leader about to sign a big check for an AI tool, you need to read this first.
It really is. So our mission today is to unpack why AI isn't just a plug-and-play tool you can drop into a business like a new toaster oven. Parashar uses this incredible metaphor that just, it frames everything. He says AI is a magnifying glass.
That's the core idea right there. And it's a very uncomfortable truth for a lot of leaders.
Why uncomfortable?
Well, we tend to think of software as a fixer, right? Our process is broken, so let's buy a tool to fix it. But Parashar argues AI is different. It doesn't fix things. It magnifies them.
So it doesn't change the object. It just makes what's already there bigger.
Precisely. It scales whatever is already there. So if you have a brilliant, super efficient logistics team, AI makes them super humanly efficient. But, and this is the kicker, if your organization is chaotic, if your data is a mess and your decisions are all political, AI will not fix that. It will just scale the chaos.
So instead of slow manual chaos, you get
automated chaos, faster chaos.
That is a genuinely terrifying thought. It's like putting a rocket engine on a car that has a flat tire. You're not getting there faster. You're just going to destroy the car more violently.
That is the perfect analogy. And Parashar points out that's where the costs just explode. It's not the license fee. It's the cost of cleaning up the mess the AI made because it was fed bad instructions at scale.
Okay, so keeping that rocket on a flat tire image in our minds, let's get into the meat of this. Parashar makes this huge distinction between technical readiness and organizational readiness. At first glance, that might just sound like semantics.
Not at all. It's the whole ballgame. Think of technical readiness as the easy part. The hardware, the software. Do you have the servers, the code, the licenses?
You can write a check for that.
You can absolutely write a check for that. Organizational readiness is about the ecosystem that the tech lives in. And his big point is that AI projects almost never fail during deployment.
And by deployment, you mean just getting the software to run.
Exactly. Installing it is fine. IT can handle that. They fail during adoption and scale. And that's because leadership just completely underestimates the depth of the change required.
It's not like upgrading Microsoft Word.
Not even close. It shifts who makes decisions. It shifts accountability. It fundamentally shifts the culture.
So if you ignore that readiness piece, what happens besides, wasting a ton of money?
The fallout is pretty bad. He lists a few specific consequences. You get internal resistance, that's obvious. But my favorite term he uses is fragmented intelligence systems.
Fragmented intelligence systems. That sounds incredibly sci-fi. What does it actually mean?
It's actually really mundane and frustrating. It means you have this super smart AI giving you insights, but because the organization is broken, the humans just ignore it.
Or they override it.
They override it. The AI says, hey, turn left, you'll save 10% on fuel. And the manager says, nope, we've always turned right here. So the intelligence is fragmented, it's there, but it's not being used.
It becomes an operational burden. You're paying for this brilliant system, but you're sticking with the old habits. Okay, let's break this down. Parashar gives us a checklist. I think we can structure this using a framework, maybe like the brain, the body, and the soul of the organization.
I like that. Let's start with the brain.
Leadership and strategy. The first item on his list is strategic clarity. Now, this seems kind of obvious, right? Have a plan. Who starts $1 million project without a plan?
You would be absolutely shocked. Parashar says AI has to solve a specific business problem. So often, companies get AI because of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Their competitor has it, so they need it too.
Exactly. They want AI, but they don't know what for. It becomes a solution looking for a problem. He says you have to be crystal clear on what decisions the AI will support and how you'll measure success. If it's not tied to a strategic outcome, it's just an experiment.
A very expensive science fair project.
Right, not a real business capability.
Okay. Now, I want to push back on this next point a little bit because it feels pretty demanding. Checklist item number 2, leadership AI literacy.
Ah, yes. This is a critical one.
Parashar argues that the CXOs, the C-suite, they need to be AI literate. But in every other part of business, the CEO doesn't need to know the technical weeds, right? A hospital CEO doesn't need to know how to perform heart surgery. So why is AI different? Why can't they just hire a smart CTO and call it a day?
It's a totally fair question, and usually that I just drive the car, I don't build the engine logic works. But Parashar argues AI is unique because of the black box problem.
Black box.
Yeah. With surgery, there are known protocols. With normal software, 2 + 2 always equals 4. It's deterministic. But AI is probabilistic. It makes educated guesses based on patterns.
Okay.
So if a leader can't understand how the AI got to its conclusion, if they can't ask about things like confidence intervals or training bias, they're basically just abdicating their decision-making to a machine that might be, hallucinating.
So they don't need to code in Python, but they need to know how to interrogate the bot.
That's it, exactly. If you can't challenge the output, you aren't leading, you're just following. Parashar even references another one of his pieces, why CXOs can no longer delegate AI understanding. You can't delegate the understanding of your core decision-making engine.
Because if the AI comes back and says pivot the entire company, you have 2 bad options. Blindly trust it or blindly reject it because it feels wrong.
And both of those are fatal. A literate leader can ask, what data did you use? Is there bias here? What's the margin of error? Without those questions, you can't make good decisions.
The days of the hands-off tech executive might be numbered. Okay, let's move from the brain to the body, the mechanics. Checklist item 3 is process maturity.
This takes us right back to that chaos concept. Parashar writes, AI thrives on structure. This is where a lot of companies they hit a brick wall. They have processes, sure, but they all live in people's heads.
The tribal knowledge problem. Every company has a Bob who just knows how to handle that one weird exception.
Exactly. And Bob is great, but AI can't ask Bob. AI needs documented processes, consistent decision logic. He warns that, quote, unstructured processes produce unreliable AI outcomes. If your process is messy, the AI just learns the mess.
And you get automated inconsistency, which leads right into item 4. Data readiness. Now, everyone talks about big data. Is this just the classic garbage in, garbage out?
It starts there, but it goes deeper. The mistake most leaders make is they confuse big data with useful data. They think because they have petabytes of logs in some data lake that they're ready.
We have the data lake. We're good to go.
Yeah, right. But Parashar's point is, if that data is toxic, the volume just hurts you more. You can't drink from a poisoned lake. And the antidote he prescribes is something most companies miss: data ownership.
What does that mean in practice? What does ownership look like?
Okay, picture a sales spreadsheet. Multinational team. There's a column for customer region. Half the team types NY, the other half types New York, and one guy just types Big Apple.
I see this every single day. Classic mess.
It's a classic mess. Now, an AI trying to analyze that just fails. But the real problem isn't the typo. The real problem is, who is responsible for fixing it? Is it IT, the VP of sales, some intern?
It's usually nobody, just sits there being wrong forever.
Exactly. And that's a lack of ownership. Parashar warns that without clear governance, without a specific person whose job it is to ensure the integrity of that data, AI can't create intelligence. It'll just confidently tell you NY and New York are 2 different places.
It's incredible how this all comes back to people. We're talking about process and data, but it's really about Bob and who owns the spreadsheet.
It's the common thread. And that leads perfectly into item 7, integration capability. Parashar says standalone tools almost never deliver value.
Right, because nobody wants another login and password to remember.
It's more than just the login. It's about workflow friction. If I have to leave my main screen, open a separate AI tool, copy something, paste it, get an answer, then paste it back, I'm not doing that 50 times a day.
The Alt-Tab tax, it's too high.
It's way too high. The AI has to integrate with existing workflows. If it sits outside the natural flow of work, it just withers and dies.
That makes perfect sense. So we've built the brain clear strategy, we've built the body type data and processes, but you can have a perfect body and a sharp brain and still not be able to move if the will isn't there.
And that brings us to the soul, the human element.
Parashar calls this cultural readiness. And this, to me, this feels like where the rubber really meets the road. You can force people to use new timesheet software. Can you force them to use intelligence?
You really can't. And there was a comment on his article from someone named Atharva Shah that really hit this home for me.
What did Shah say?
He talked about the missing layer. He said, we have the tech layer, we have the business layer, but we're missing the practical integration layer. His point was, if people don't trust it for daily tasks, it stays stuck in pilot mode.
That trust factor is massive. If I think the AI is going to take my job, or if I just think it's stupid, I am not going to use it.
Or you get what's called the pocket veto.
The what?
The pocket veto. The AI suggests you do X, and you say, oh, that's nice. And then you put it in your pocket, ignore it, and do Y anyway because you trust your gut more. That is a cultural failure.
And Parashar's point is that culture determines the speed of adoption more than the technology does.
By far. You have to ask, do our people trust data? Are they willing to change their roles? If the answer is no, you have a very expensive paperweight.
Which explains why the next item, change development, is so important. This isn't a one-time thing.
No, he says AI isn't deployed once. It's evolved continuously. It's not a software install, it's a relationship. It needs constant upskilling, constant communication. You can't just train people on where to click. You have to train them on how to collaborate with an algorithm.
A relationship, not a purchase. And all good relationships need boundaries. Which brings us to item 6, governance and accountability. This sounds like the legal department's favorite topic, but it feels deeper than just compliance.
It's all about responsible AI, and the big question here is, who owns the decision when the AI gets it wrong?
Ooh, that's a good one. If the AI recommends a loan that then defaults, who's on the hook?
Yeah.
The programmer, the bank manager who clicked approve, the algorithm itself.
Right, and Parashar says there have to be defined escalation paths and clear ethical boundaries. Without that governance, AI stays locked in pilot mode because it's just too risky to let it loose at scale.
So when you look at all this together, I mean, Parashar is painting a picture where the actual tech is maybe 10% of the equation.
I'd say that's a fair assessment. The other 90% is this difficult, human, organizational heavy lifting.
He has this really bold statement in his conclusion that I want to read. He says, AI does not adapt to organizations. Organizations must adapt to AI. That feels like a very hard truth.
It is the ultimate reality check. We always try to shoehorn new tech into our old, comfortable ways of working. Let's use AI to make our 1990s bureaucracy a little bit faster. Parashar is saying no. The very nature of this intelligence demands that you change your structure.
And when companies refuse to change, they just blame the bot.
Exactly. It's misattribution. They say this bot is stupid or this data is wrong, when the real problem is organizational design. The company just wasn't built to absorb and use intelligence effectively.
It reminds me of another comment on the article from Gurvinder Dwangching. He talked about prioritizing value over volume.
That connects so perfectly. If you prioritize volume, just churning out AI features to say you have them, you get nothing. But if you build the readiness, you build trust, and you get real value. And that readiness determines if AI strengthens your leadership or just becomes another operational burden.
So let's bring this all home for the listener. We've covered a lot. We've established that just having a big budget is not enough. We've gone through the checklist: strategy, literacy, process, data, culture, governance. It's a huge list.
It is a lot, but it's better to know the mountain you have to climb than to trip over the very first rock.
True. And I think the main takeaway from Rethynk AI's work here is that this is an organizational transformation, not a technology milestone.
That's the bumper sticker right there. AI integration is not a technology milestone. It is an organizational transformation. If you treat it like an IT project, you will fail. If you treat it like organizational development, you at least have a fighting chance.
So for everyone listening, before you sign that next contract for some game-changing AI platform, maybe just pause. Look at your team. Look at your processes.
Look at your leaders. Ask yourself, are they actually ready to challenge the machine?
Exactly. And I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. We started with Parashar's idea that AI is a magnifying glass, that it just magnifies who you already are. So here's a question. If your organization turned on the most powerful, capable AI in the world today, What specific weakness would it magnify immediately? Would it be your lack of documented processes, the lack of trust between departments, your indecisive leadership?
That is a terrifying but very necessary question to ask.
Are you actually ready to see that flaw, that crack in your foundation, scaled up 1,000 times? Because if you're not ready, that's what's coming.
And, identifying that flaw right now, that's the real first step to actually being ready.
Start with the mirror, not the monitor. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.